Hi, I'm here with Marty Lyons. Marty Lyons is someone who I remember playing football. I grew up in Brooklyn and Queens, and I remember when he and his line over there really dominated the NFL, and it was exciting watching him. And then fast forward a decade or two later, I saw him in the office, and we got to be professionally related, and I found out what a great guy he was. And many of you see him on TV at broadcasting for the Jets, but what might not be known, what many of you might not know, how he's involved in charities. So, today we're talking about the COVID situation and how it's affecting Long Island. And Marty is, even though I think he went to school in Alabama, was from Maryland, if I'm not mistaken, but
That's correct.
He's a Long Islander now. So he's a Long Islander just like myself. And, we're all being hit hard, not just the healthcare workers, but everybody who lives and works in Long Island and in the United States, we're all affected by this. So, you know, purpose of this event is to try to raise money for the hospitals and just awareness. And I think everyone will be interested to hear about what's going on with you, Marty. You're in an industry which, after this is over, is really going to be facing some challenges. I'm sure you've been talking with people. Anything you'd like to share with us?
Well, I'm in two industries. Richard, I work for a company. We build and design athletic fields. So a lot of that work has been put on the back burner. A lot of the school work, because there's other concerns. There's a bigger issue out there. But first of all, I want to thank all the doctors and nurses and everybody on the front line here on Long Island and around the world, risking their lives to keep us out of harm's way. And we really do appreciate everything that they're doing. And I think for us as a whole, we're really finding out who the real heroes are in life. It's not the guys running up and down on the football field using their God-given talents on Sunday to be that role model. We're finding out who role models really are. And I think we should look at it and appreciate the opportunities that they're giving us. And the best thing that we can do is try to help them by staying at home.
That's really important. When people, I'm a cardiologist and I can fix hearts really easily, as all those cardiologists can do. It's something that we are gratified that we can help somebody the same day. And here we're wearing a different hat where we see it's not so easy to fix people. And the key here is to stay healthy and to isolate and to really follow those guidelines. And hopefully if we do that, we're going to start getting back to normalcy, or the new normalcy. So what about football? What's going to happen in an arena in football in the summer? How are they going to work out? I mean, they're not going to be able to social distance in a huddle.
Well, that's the big question. I think what's going to play out with Major League Baseball, what's going to play out with hockey, what's going to play out with the NBA. And then I think the NFL will follow the directions that the other three professional teams that are really at the end of their season, some are in the beginning of the season, but you look at the NBA, they were supposed to be getting ready for the playoffs. Maybe. So I think that's that great escape that everybody is missing when you turn on the TV on a Sunday and you're looking for a football game, or you're looking for a basketball game or a baseball game, hockey, whatever your sports is, and you don't have it anymore. You feel like you really are getting robbed of something. But I think it also makes you reflect and appreciate, all the values that you have and all the gifts that are around you. And that sometimes we take those gifts for granted.
Absolutely right. One thought I had is once professional sports starts again, or collegiate sports, testing will be readily available. And I think it would be somewhat easy to test every athlete before they get together to know that they're negative. And that would be good. I think we could do that. We could test the athletes before they're playing. I guess a bigger concern is what's going to happen in the stadiums. Are people going to be playing to an empty stadium or not, which would affect the guy who's selling food, the guy who's delivering the food, the person cleaning up. So the economy would be tremendous. I think we'll get our athletes back in a safe way. It'll be more challenging, I think, to get the fans there.
Yeah, and I think it'll be more challenging too, because any sports, especially football, it's an emotional sport. You feed off the crowd. You feed off the, that JETS when you run out onto the field. And when that is missing, you're putting a lot of pressure on these athletes to motivate themselves, to get themselves ready to play the game. That is a responsibility that, the accountability of every athlete. But that emotional control that the fans have, it's really going to be tough on the athletes.
Now, you're a healthy guy. your risks are relatively low. What are you doing to isolate? How are you keeping yourself busy, in this time?
Well, the first thing I do is I get up every morning, I have a glass of orange juice and have a cup of coffee, and then I have a conference call with the people at work, and we go over a work schedule for, that particular day. Then I get up and I walk anywhere from 2 to 7 miles. I come back, I do another conference call, and then I reach out to the people from the foundation to find out how we're doing as a nonprofit. Where are we at? We've
Could you
had
talk
so
about,
many.
could you talk, I'm sorry to interrupt, but, I don't know if many people know what you do as one of the other things you do. Could you tell us a little about your foundation?
Yeah, I started the foundation in 1982 in memory of my father and a little boy named Keith. My oldest son, Rocky, who's a doctor down in Alabama, and he was born on March 4th. My dad suddenly died of a heart attack on March 8th, and then Keith died of leukemia at the age of 5.5 on March 10th. And I was 25 years old, a professional athlete playing for the Jets, and I couldn't find an answer for why God would allow something like this to happen. And as the days went on, I realized that this is part of life, that God had put me in a position here with the New York Jets, this platform, this media capital of the world, to utilize my name and maybe help others. So I started a foundation for terminally ill children and children with a chronic life-threatening illness to take their greatest wish in life, make it become a reality. And you fast forward 38 years later, we've helped over 8,000 families. We've raised over $35 million, and we operate in 10 states. But the problem that I'm running into now is now you're into April. We had 81 kids in the pipeline at the end of January. We can't have fundraisers. So I had to take the staff that I had and put them working remotely from home. And the longer we go from having a fundraiser, the more difficult it becomes to helping these kids. And I'm sure I'm not the only nonprofit in that situation, but it's a tough situation to be in because you can't help the kids that need the help the most.
It's going to be tough for everybody. I mean, people who are donating are having problems. So it is going to be tough. Just an interesting side note. You mentioned your son's name is Rocky.
Right. Well, he's a Martin Anthony Lyons Jr.
Okay.
But when he was born, his grandmother said, you know what, he's a piece of the rock. We'll just start calling him Rocky. So he's finishing up his 9th year in practice, and he's building a medical center down right outside of Montgomery, Alabama, in a little town called Wetumpka. And it's going to be like a Northwell or a Pro Health, all inclusive. And
I was almost named Rocky, but Rocky Lyons sounds better than Rocky Shlofmitz. My mother was.
And the thing about it is, you know what? He's very smart about it. Him and another doctor, they went and they borrowed the money, and he says, you know what? At the age of 38, I'd rather be in debt now than when I'm 58. And then my other son is a doctor down in Murrells Inlet. So I have 2 doctors, 1 school teacher, and one, my youngest son works for Lockheed Martin. So he's in aerospace engineering.
Well, you're like the American dream, an American hero jet, and you got great family, and you're doing great things with your foundation. And I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And
my pleasure.
I just wish good health, and I hope to see you soon.
I hope to. And for all the Long Islanders out here, just remember those people on the front line. Give them your thoughts and prayers. And remember, they're here to protect us, and they're putting their life at risk. Let's do it. Good seeing you.